Welcome. This is Dr. David Amakobe of W500G. Today we released the Kenya Public Sentiment Report, December 2020. This is a result of a poll we conducted targeting Kenya social media groups between December 5th and December 19th. We asked questions that we wanted questions answered, specifically the ones we wanted people to understand what people felt was how the Kenyans feel about the Building Bridges initiative and how they feel about Dr. Ruto as their next president, and whether both Honorable Raila and Honorable Uhuru should retire from politics or continue participating. The question of whether dynasties, meaning the children of former presidents and former politicians ruling the country, was also put to the respondents. We also asked the respondents what they thought about the gender law. For the Kenyans who live in the diaspora, we asked the respondents to tell us whether they think that people who live in the diaspora should be enabled to vote where they live. And lastly, we wanted to know whether Kenyans think that Kenyans who live away from the whole country should be accorded a county of their own. Those are pertinent questions that we put to the respondents, and in those 2 weeks we got responses. I would like to say that the results of polls, like any other public engagement tool, may not be representative of the population. It is more a representation of the respondents at that particular time. And perspectives change with time. So polls just give us a guide as to where the people who responded to the questionnaire were at the time they were filling the poll. But it gives us a guide or a baseline from where to start. Unlike any other public engagement tool, if you didn't participate in it, just like an election, if you don't participate in an election, you are agreeing with the people who are elected. And if you don't participate in a poll, you are unfortunately or fortunately bound by the opinions of the people who respond. It so happens that baselines, norms, and policies in society are normally set by the vocal minority for the silent majority. That's why it's important for everybody to participate in this in these polls when you get a chance. Now I will go through the summary of what we found. That summary is, as I've said, what was at that particular time. It may change, it may remain the same, but it's a baseline from where to start. 43% of the participants approved of BBI as presented. But 14% of them completely disapproved of it. And the other 14% slightly approved. So if we add the 14% who slightly approved and the 43% who completely approved, we get that we have almost 57% of the participants approving of BBI as presented. So if BBI, the question was put to the Kenyans during that time, it would have got approval by 57%. As a policy matter, we think that the proponents have the public sentiment on their side. On the idea that Dr. Ruto should be president of the Republic of Kenya, the participants were way opposed to it for now. 64% of them said no. They said no. That means Dr. Ruto has a lot of work to do if he wants to be able to be elected president. On the question as to whether Honorable Raila should retire from politics, the responses were very mixed. 36% of them agreed that he should retire, while 21% were undecided, and 43% disagreed. So this is a toss-up. It's like the people are everywhere. Okay, if the undecided part, the 21%, you can decide if you put it on the ones who disagreed. That puts them puts it over 64%, wanting to continue, and if you put it on the side of the ones who agreed that you should retire, that gives you that 57%, it's almost 50-50. This looks like a very divisive issue. It's like the participants could not agree on whether Honorable Raila should retire from politics or not. On the question whether President Uhuru should retire from politics, the participants were certain that he needs to retire. On the question of inheritance, public office inheritance, dynasties, that was a 50%. 50% is sort of a divisive issue as well. It seems that basically half the respondents thought, well, it doesn't matter, and half said, well, it doesn't matter. So that is another issue that basically is or seems to be dividing the country into half. So that's what we found in this particular sentiment report in the month of December. We shall keep looking at these issues to see how the country moves as we move towards election in the future. We would like to completely put the disclaimer that this is like a mirror, that somebody will put a mirror in front of you. If somebody puts a mirror in front of you and you see your tie is not sitting properly, you fix it. You don't break the mirror. And the first time you look through the mirror, your tie may be on the side, but the next time you look at it, your tie may be sitting properly. So this is the baseline. This is what we found. This is what the respondents of the poll said as of that time. We're looking forward to more participants and more polls to fine tune. This is important because policymakers, the population, and the friends of the country would like to know how the country feels. People are not magicians. They will not guess what the population wants unless the population says it. And the saying occurs in elections, the saying occurs in polls. Participate in polls, participate in elections, and you will be heard. If you don't participate, you will not be heard. That's why nature gave us the ability to communicate. It doesn't matter what you think if you didn't tell us what you think, if you don't tell other people what they think. So, we at W500G are just holding a mirror to society. It's up to society to look at themselves in the mirror and see where they want to be. Thank you very much for listening to me and listening to this Kenya Public Sentiment Report, December 2020. We shall see you in our next